Well, I would like to call to order this Guilford Select Board meeting of February 22nd, 2021. As chair of the Guilford Select Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Scott as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Addendum 6 to Executive Order 01-20 and Act 92, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. In accordance with Act 92, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the temporary amendments to the open meeting law, I confirm that we are providing public access by video teleconference through Google Meet and by telephone. Our Google Meet address for this meeting is, the way that you can join it is https://meet.google.com/n as in Nancy HO-IKZC-ETJ. Or you can call into this meeting by using the following number, 617-675-4444, and put in the PIN 364-536-869-2597 pound. And if you have trouble accessing this meeting, I give you this telephone number to call, area code 603-558-0891. We will continue this meeting if necessary. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, it will be continued to a time and place certain. And please note that all votes taken during this meeting, because it is remote and the Guilford Select Board has chosen to do so, we will take our votes by roll call. So I shall begin the meeting by taking the roll call of our attendants. Veranda Porch.
Aye.
Rusty Marine.
Here.
Zon Eastus.
Here.
Michael Becker.
Here. Hi.
Richard Wazansky here. Thank you. We have full attendance tonight. Thank you very much. Let's get on with our agenda. I don't see any public to recognize, but we are conducting this meeting according to the rules of procedure of the Guilford Select Board. And those rules of procedure, basically, if we wanted to summarize them, the summary is that we speak to each other civilly, we raise our hand to be called upon, and that we speak one at a time, and that if you've spoken once, then you allow your colleagues to speak, and until everyone who wants to speak has spoken, then you may speak again. Are there any additions to the agenda this evening?
I do not have any, Richard.
I have none. Therefore, are there any changes to the agenda order?
I don't have any of those either.
Okay, then we can move right along. The minutes. I hope that you've all read the minutes, and I look for a motion to, if they're satisfactory to you, to approve them. Brand, is that a motion?
That's right.
Do I have a second?
Accept the meeting.
And
minutes.
Zon has seconded. Is there any discussion? I shall call the roll then. Veranda?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Zon?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. The the minutes of the previous meeting are approved. Thank you very much. Unanimously, I might add. Are there any reports from the Highway Commission?
Yes. I was actually at the office for a little while today and stopped over at the garage, and I chatted with a couple of the road crew members, and they said that they're primarily been focused on plowing, sanding, fixing equipment, and hauling more sand. Unfortunately, because we've been getting snow anywhere from every 2 to 4 days, they have not been left with much time to do anything else.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But as I'm sure those of you who are in Guilford at the moment have seen that our roads are in pretty good condition considering all the snow we've gotten recently. So they're doing an excellent job, but they're just keeping busy with that.
Well, if you see any members of the Highway Commission, would you carry our thanks to them and gratitude for doing such a good job during the undue amount of snow we seem to be receiving and ice?
I'll be happy to do so.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is discussion updates, and that's the only item on our agenda, except for dinner, which was forthcoming. The public, the public information hearing. I'd like to just say before we launch into that, just that we did have a meeting that everyone of our select board members attended last Thursday. The Grange is sponsored a pre-town meeting. And we were all there except for Zahn, who was doing our town's work at a broadband meeting. But I thought it went very, very well. And other people have emailed me and said that they thought it went well as well. Are there any comments on that?
Yes.
Yes, Veranda.
I had an email exchange with Rick, and he thought that it went well. He was sorry that some of the older timers didn't seem to come to a Zoom meeting. And I wonder whether, maybe I'll call a few people like the Evanses and see whether they need some support in attending, if they would like to attend our meeting, if they needed some technical support. And if anybody else can think of anyone who might need that, it might be a kind of outreach to do.
Thank you, Veranda. That's a very good suggestion.
I will add, though.
Make sure that gets into the minutes, Peter, please.
Sure.
What were you going to say, Peter? I'm sorry that I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I realized that Veranda was just using the Evanses as an example, but I can say that Harry has been participating in all of the Planning Commission Zoom meetings.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Yep. So that's been positive. I know that many who are more tech savvy, regardless of their age, have been trying to reach out to other Guilfordites who need assistance, and I think it's been going well. The one thing I wanted to say about the Broadbrook Grange pre-town meeting is I was impressed at the number of people that showed up. In my 5 years with the town so far, we average about 40 people, many of whom are the same 35 people that show up of those 40. So I was impressed to see over 80 people at the beginning of the meeting.
The very good showing.
It was wonderful.
So my hopes
And
for
the sorry.
What did you say, Veranda?
It's a good harbinger for the future. It could be something we would consider to try to have a mix and match kind of meeting, perhaps.
So this carries us over to
That's
segues
one
us.
question.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was hesitant to ask it. The informational meeting versus the pre-town meeting, for my own reference, but other people who might be tuning in here, is there anything different about the?
Well, that's just what we're segueing to, Michael, right now, the public
Okay.
information meeting. So
Right.
that's on February 25th at 6 p.m. It is basically, it's required by law. There are only 2 agenda items, and the agenda is posted on the town website. And Peter, did you send the agenda to the select board members?
I don't think that I did that. I posted it around town and I posted it on the website, but I'm happy to send it to select
Yeah,
board
so
members.
Peter will send it out to you, but it's basically 2 agenda items. One is to talk about the Australian ballot and why we're doing that and how that works. And I'll talk about that very quickly. It's going to be moderated by Rick Zamor. And then all of the select board members will be there, and we'll do the same thing, presenting the articles. And we did have a comment from one of our residents about sort of putting some dressing on the articles. I was saying, because you know that I like to get through things quickly, but I was saying, are there any comments or any questions? And I don't know what there is to say about the highway budget, or because it's the same articles every year, but I was going to suggest tonight that that's what we discuss. What is there to say about the highway budget, for instance, which Zahn is going to talk about, Peter? Is there anything that he can say about that? That's article number 1.
I mean, as in the notes that I shared with the select board. So one thing the select board, before I answer your question, Richard, one thing is, as state law makes clear that the select board can only talk in facts about the items. You cannot, state subjective things about this. You can't say, for example, how wonderful the decreased highway budget is going to benefit Guilford in XYZ ways. That is subjective to your opinion, and so we have to just be aware of that when we talk about each item.
So one question that I would pose about Article 1 is how much more is it or less than it was the previous year? And is there something that we could, if it's more, is there something we could say about why it is more? Like, did we buy a truck or something?
Yep. So this year, I don't remember the exact amount. I think it was around $42,000 in decrease over last year. And that is due to a couple of factors, and I can get you that specific numbers on. That's due to a couple of factors. One of which is Dan, like all of us, was aware of the impacts of COVID on residents in town, and he opted to trim certain areas of his budget that he felt could do that without harming the work to the town, at least for this one fiscal year. Those areas will likely need to be increased again in the future to cover the needs of the town, but for this year, they were. The other thing is, obviously, last year we had an employee who retired, and so his salary and benefits obviously came off, and so that accounted for a substantial portion of that reduction.
That's great. So there you go, Zahn. That's what you can say about that.
Got it written down.
Great. So in Article 2, I'm going to do, and I'm going to talk about what I talked about last time, which is the sharing of the reserve funds of the commissions and reserve funds being transferred from the general fund to other funds to make those savings, which is a 12% savings on taxes to the town of Guilford residents. So that's what I'll say about that article.
Oh, Richard,
Yes.
I think it was useful for you to highlight the work of the Finance Advisory Committee again as well.
Yeah. Okay, I will do that again. I did that before and I'll do that again. Yep. Article 3, which is Rusty's membership in the Wyndham Regional Commission.
It says like on here, I can just say that it's $80 increase over last year.
Mm-hmm. And, the services that they provide to the town, which are consulting services in the areas of
Planning.
Grants, compliance with state statute. I mean, the list is very long as far as the services they provide, and the cost does not in any way compensate them for the services they provide.
You want me to just keep it short? Just say they offer several services such as.
I would mention the grant proposals and the planning, because those are really key.
The representative at the pre-town meeting mentioned assisting with some sort of business transition work.
That was BDCC. That's not Wyndham Regional.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we got that one covered. Then Zahn, the Sevids, and I don't know if Jen's going to be there. I was thinking of emailing her and asking her to be there. I think
I've already done so, Richard.
Right.
I did that about 6 weeks ago. Jen is going to be participating in another town's informational meeting. However, we should be able to expect Sarah Lang and Alex Beck, two representatives from Sevids, to be there to answer questions for us.
Great. And Zahn at the Grange meeting, she made a point of that they worked with Guilford residents and businesses in the time of the pandemic to help businesses to access the federal funding and loans. I can't recall what the name of that program is right now. The federal program,
CARES Act.
the CARES Act. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't she also say that they were helping local businesses transition to, people who wanted to retire, that they were helping them
Yes,
find?
succession planning.
Good.
Okay, so that's a good one. And then,
You have one more question
oh,
about,
yes, John.
thank you. It'd be good to know, I think they're in, what year are they in their process of?
This is their second years on.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks. That's what I want to know.
And Miranda, Guilford Cares, you did a very good job on that, so I don't think we need to.
Okay. I mean, I don't have to get all emotional. I can
No,
just
please
talk
don't.
extra. Okay.
We're supposed to be objective. Okay.
Well, they have ramped up their services during COVID.
Okay. Article 6 is Rusty's, and that is for the Guilford Volunteer Fire Department. I mean, well, what is there to say? But
Pretty much self-explanatory. They've done a good
right.
job.
But you know what? If you have the town report, you could look and it tells us how many calls they made, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right in the report. It's how many fires and how many emergency health calls they made. That would be a good thing, I think.
I know at least Beth and Jared will be at the meeting on Thursday. I don't know if anyone else from the fire department or from the trustees will be there, but I do know that Beth and Jared will be there to answer questions should people have them.
Great. But if Rusty could say that, I mean, what we're trying to do
Of course.
to show that the select board knows what it's talking about in the articles.
You're a little punchy tonight, Richard.
Article 7 is Michael's, and were you there when Beth explained that? You were
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So can you feel that you can handle that, and then she's there to talk about that too?
Yeah.
Great. And then the human services.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, and then we have shall the town collects its through the treasurer, and Michael, that's yours, and that's this. What is there to say about that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We're required to have that in there by state law, so there's not
Right.
really much to say.
Can I
And then
go back
Articles
to
10
Can
and-
I go back to number 7, actually, the capital fund for the fire?
I can't hear you, Michael.
Can you hear me now?
You were unmuted, but I just couldn't hear.
Oh, okay. But I mean, the one we were just talking about is not a lot to say, but can I go back to the capital fund for the fire?
Sure.
Department? Is that just a one-time? I mean, I understand that was like a regular increment of, funds that was happening because to pay off the building, right? And then it rolled into like an additional year beyond after the building was paid for?
And they have
No,
to
it
ask
didn't
for
roll
it every
into-
year.
Or not, what's that?
They have to ask for it every year. If
Okay.
they're going to ask, if they want
And
that.
that was not the case before. It was set up on a set amount of time. Is that true?
Well, and that's because, Michael, town residents voted to approve the bond to build the fire department.
Yeah, and that was spread out over what, 20 years or something, or
15 years.
okay. And then
And
once
so that
15 years
that
was-
ended, and then the fire department requested these funds from the floor last year, and then during the budgeting process required them again. And as Richard just said a moment ago, moving forward, if the fire department wants these, they'll need to request them every year, similar to their appropriation.
all right, so they just need to request it each year, and it sounds like they're planning to do so for some time to come. Okay. All right, thanks.
So then on Articles 10 and 11, we will have the CFO of the district, the supervisory district, and the director on the Zoom call. Is that
Superintendent.
correct? What?
It's a superintendent and the CFO.
The superintendent to answer, to talk about the articles, which of course is on, and you might have guessed, took most of the time at the meeting on last Thursday. I don't think we're going to have those presentations.
Nope.
And we shouldn't, because that's not the responsibility of the select board to have board presentations.
Yeah, those presentations were requested specifically by the Broadbrook Grange members.
Right.
So
So,
I'm sorry.
Don, yes?
So if it's not our responsibility to what the articles are on the warning, so it's not our job to know what to do. So what do we do? Just say we don't know?
No, we have the CFO. Well, the way that we explained it at the Grange pre-town meeting was that we were requested by the district to put these articles on, and that they were being sent to Putney, Dummerston, and Brattleboro, and as well, and that there was an inference that all the towns should, in Brattleboro, did I say Brattleboro? And then so we had our lawyer look at it, and because I was a little nervous about it, and the lawyer said, if Brattleboro is going to do it, then you should do it, because the other towns will do it, and the other towns did do it, and we put it on. So all of the towns involved have these articles, and our responsibility basically really stops there, except that we're responsible. We got the superintendent and the CFO to come to our select board meeting to explain why the articles are there.
Okay.
And they will explain, the upside and the downside of the vote, I presume.
Okay.
Can I go? I don't want to like start a big to do here. I'm just curious, was it the superintendent or a representative of the superintendent who asked us to put that on the ballot?
It was the board chair who asked, the board
Yes.
of that district,
the school board chair.
the school board chair who
Yeah.
asked. Yes.
And in turn, the superintendent is an employee of the school board. So similar to how you five are my supervisors, the school board is his supervisor.
But us putting it on the warning does not indicate either the support of the select board as a whole or the support of the select board as individuals.
That's correct.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to me that we make that clear.
Mhm. Yeah, we will. We'll make that clear. And I, when I say articles 10 and 11, I will make that point that we were requested, and as I did on last Thursday, it was a request to put them on. We put them on. We take no position on it. Personally, one of the reasons that we put them on was because people should have it was requested of us, people should have the opportunity to say yes or no to, and it is going to be subjected to a public vote. It's on the ballot. So.
And it's the right thing to do that we've invited stakeholders to comment on it.
Right.
To educate the public, which is really what this meeting is about.
Right. So another thing that I wanted to say was that, given that we had the Grange meeting, I was very de-nervoused by how smoothly that went. And it should go even more smoothly on this coming Thursday, because we have a staff, and Core Trowbridge is basically running the operation. We don't have to do anything technical. Peter is I can't remember what the word we have for you is, our participant manager. I think
that's what Core called it. Yes. I don't
Yeah.
remember off the top of my head, but I think it's close to what Core said.
So Peter will be, managing the queue of people who have their hands raised, looking for people who have their hands raised. There's also a technical assistance line. And we start the meeting, by the way, 45 minutes. We should be there 45 minutes at 5:15, no later, because Core wants to run through the day of performance details. 5:15.
Okay.
So if I were you, each of you, I would have confidence that this can go fairly well. I feel so much better than I did. I was nervous about it, but I don't feel that nervous about it right now.
Yeah,
It's basically,
I was nervous about.
Go on, Peter.
Oh, I was just saying, I was a little bit concerned about how Articles 10 and 11 would go, and I was very pleased about the civility of everyone involved last week during that discussion.
You know, I still don't have a comfort level with that. I feel like, in a way, we were kind of duped into putting it on. I mean, on the ballot, sitting in on one of the school board meetings, it sounded like the board, like members within the board, were questioning the legality of this.
Right, and
And-
it is a legal question. They pointed that out
I mean,
on
is there any
Thursday.
way we can, without remaining objective, like acknowledge that we're not entirely sure of the legality of this? Or
I wouldn't
does
say that, please.
anyone else have an opinion on that? My kids are
I
in the
figure
school, so
I figure we put it on the ballot because
but
if
it's
all the
not
other
legal,
towns
that's-
approved it,
yeah.
we would have to do it, and that would be extra money for the town to put on a special election just for that item.
Mhm.
I understand it's on the ballot, but I mean, if something isn't legal, like, should it be on a ballot? I mean, even,
But we don't know that, and I don't think it's our jobs to say anything about that.
I think the people who come in to discuss it can frame the issue in the way that feels correct to them. I mean, this is, it's their dicey problem that they've sort of dropped on us.
Isn't a select board member free to ask a question during these meetings?
Oh, by all means, all select board members are residents of town, and
Right.
you are
So Michael,
all
why don't you
registered
ask
voters.
them that?
Okay.
Yeah, ask
yeah, I mean,
ask the
just gotten a lot of
superintendent.
people,
I
parents,
I would make the recommendation. You don't have to follow it, but I would make the recommendation that should you ask a question like that, and it's a legitimate question, that you just state, "I'm asking this question as a resident of this town, not as a select board member."
Yeah.
and a parent who suffered through homeschool for a year. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, are there any more questions regarding the agenda? I think. No? All right, then we can go on to the next item on our agenda, which is the warrants.
Okay, so we have no correspondence or anything?
Well, the warrants come
That comes
first.
after the warrants.
Oh, how could I forget? Okay, here we go. I move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week 2/14/21 for $6,205.29. Payroll week 2/21/21 for $6,725.81. Expense warrant number 2015 for $21,514.57. The total coming to $34,445.67.
Do I have a second? Zahn seconds it. Is there any discussion?
The main expenses seem to be insurance and sand. Am I right, Peter?
Yes, Miranda.
Very good. Thank you for that. And let's take the
I mean, there
roll.
was, sorry, 1 second, Richard. The only other main expense was one of the 1-ton trucks needed almost $4,000 worth of work. So that was the other main expense.
Okay, thank you for letting us know that. Miranda,
Are we
we're
voting?
voting on the warrants. It's
Oh,
been
aye.
seconded by Zahn, and we've discussed it.
Aye.
Miranda? Oh, good, okay. Rusty,
Aye.
Zahn,
Aye.
and Michael?
Hi.
Richard, aye. Thank you. So the warrants are approved. Any communications, Peter?
Nope, we did not have any communications in the past 2 weeks. Your action summary from your previous meeting is the select board offered their full informal support to the community values mapping project. You approved the certificate of highway mileage, and you approved the library to be open by appointment. As far as tonight, you have no formal actions taken. And as far as actions to be taken, is I'm going to email out a few more details to the select board relating to the informational meeting on Thursday.
Including the agenda.
Yes.
Great. Well then, here we are. Yes, Don.
I would like to move that we adjourn.
Oh, how interesting.
I will
Okay.
second that.
All right, thank you, Rusty. Is there any discussion?
Did we
I shall take-
set the record? No,
I
don't
shall
think
take
we
the
did.
road.
Oh, not even close. The record is
18
18 minutes.
18. We'll get there someday.
Veranda,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Zon,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Richard, aye. The motion carries and the Guilford Select Board meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You
See you
too.
Thursday.
Good night, everyone.